Hello, it's Sean Bishop, Director of Bishop Instruments and Bows, and this is my What's New in April. Right, I'll just finish off my last sip of coffee, because technically it's very late. It's now nearly it's 2 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon. So I shouldn't be drinking cappuccinos, as we all know, at that time. Right, let's talk about a few instruments and a couple of bows. Let's talk bows first. So we have Charles-Nicolas Bazin. I thought I should reach for that. He's not a maker I've talked about much at all, but I've got about 4 or 5 of his bows. C.N. Bazin. He was around, I should really look up these dates, around sort of 1850, died in 1915, I think it was 1847, around that area. But I've got a beautiful example here that has got original lapping, original thumb leather. We just changed the hair, polished it up a bit, and it's unbelievable. Original face, made in about 1900. And this maker, C.N. Bazin, is actually my top tip for buying. I think Bazin is underrated. He was the teacher after all. He had the Fatiques, Jules Fatigue, Victor Fatigue. I think E.A. Huchard was through his shop. Who else was there? Piano, Lamy. He really ruled Mirecourt. And if there's a really great book on the Bazin family that's just out, which is worth reading, and it's very interesting. So there's quite a number of generations. His father taught him. He taught his son, Louis Bazin. And then Louis Bazin's son, I think, was Charles C.A. Bazin. The quality tapers off certainly with C.A. Bazin. But certainly C.N. Bazin, I love those bows. And they're still relatively priced. This one, £10,000. I've got a couple of others that are sort of £8,000–9,000. But they are going up in value. And, you know, 125-year-old French bow, beautifully made. So that's a maker I recommend. Another maker that I recommend, I've mentioned this before, Hill Bows, W.E. Hill & Sons. This is a beautiful gold and ivory bow made circa 1937, stamped 1937. I think the frog, if I remember correctly, is a little bit later by Hills, maybe in the 40s. But it's all Hill work. I think it's made by Yeoman. And as I've said before, I think I have, it doesn't really matter who made the bow. If you look at the Hill bow makers from 1900 to 1945, it doesn't really matter who made the bow in that period. It doesn't change the value. No one is really saying here's a Retford. Well, they're trying to, a Retford Senior, so you've got to pay 10% more, as opposed to Yeoman or the other bow makers that worked, Barnes, and I mean the list goes on of all the Hill bow makers, 10, 15 bow makers of that period. But they were all pretty good, and ultimately Retford Senior checked all the bows at the end anyway. So a little bit like the Violin workshop, they were all, the quality control was very high. The viola bows I particularly like. I was a viola player myself, and I played on a Hill viola bow when I was a musician for a number of years. I had choices of beautiful bows. I had a beautiful Lamy, but my day-to-day bow was a Hill, and I think they are still great value when it's considered what they are and how they work. So there's a nice gold and ivory Hill viola bow. The ivory is okay because it's CITES, before CITES went crazy, which I think is 1974 or whatever. So if you've got an ivory bow before that period, no problem. After that, things are going to be difficult. Same with tortoiseshell. So there you go. Nice viola bow. Right, well, let's talk about violas while we're at it. Here we go. Romolo Parmeggiani. Really fine maker. Is he Piacenza? No, Moderna. God, I should have known that. Great maker. Strange maker. We don't really know much about him. I'm not sure who taught him making. It was sort of says in the books, taught by the local makers. Well, great. Thanks for the help. This is a really nice viola. On the larger side, 42.3 centimeters. It's been with me for a number of years, just sitting in my cupboard. And we only just got it recently set up. And I lent it to a very fine violinist who needed to play a viola for a month, and he came back raving about the viola. So I thought, well, I better have a quick play myself, and it does sound great. If you're looking for a viola that's 16.5 inches, a little bit bigger, maybe 16 5/8, this is the one. And it's a funny viola. It's a Brescian style model, Brescian F-holes. You'll see on my website there. I can't really say what it's trying to be, but obviously it was made as sort of to look old. Right, let's have a quick play. Right. Tuned it a bit more. It's big sound. I like it. Really nice viola. Now, while I'm at this maker, we also have a violin by Romolo Parmeggiani. So that is 1927, I think. Oh goodness, something like that. With his original label. This one is unlabeled. I just recently got it. Hence, what's new? April. This is a violin made by Parmeggiani in circa 1915. Very early. Beautiful back. If you look at my website, you'll see the violin in its full glory. Pretty good condition. There's like one little crack that's been repaired. But it's a very nice violin, and I had to have it when I saw it. There's something about his making I really like. It's just strange that you just never see them. I've sold another violin by him in the past, and another viola. But you don't see them at the auction houses. You don't see them in players. So, but, you know, quality is quality, and I haven't had this set up yet. My guy hasn't touched it, so I'm going to get him to do that next time I see him. I'm looking at the bridge now. Let's have a quick play. Anyway, it is what it is, but it's a beautiful violin, and come April it'll be ready. I really should have tuned up. I'm sorry, but who's watching this? Nobody. So I'll just keep talking. I need a bit more rosin on that Bazan because, like I said, it's just been rehead. But that's the Parmeggiani. You can see it on the website. A really nice maker, and I really like this. Now we'll go to a new maker that we've got in, Luiz Amorim, made for the shop. It's got the label 2024, but actually it's only just been finished. So he must be one of these makers that puts the label in and then varnishes up, you know. This is a copy of a Del Gesù, the Cardo, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's on my website. Sorry, my assistant's looking for a violin bow, but he's not going to find one. Yeah, grab one there. Any of those bows. Yeah, so this is a copy of his, of the Del Gesù. Sounds very impressive. This is my third violin that we've had. I've got two violas which we sold. One is now the principal viola of the Sydney Symphony, formerly London Philharmonic principal, and the other viola is the London Symphony Orchestra, who was also formerly, he was principal violist of the Bournemouth Symphony. So they've gone to principal players. The violin, I don't see why not. It sounds really impressive. Have a listen to this. Okay? We had a professor from the Royal College of Music in looking at bows yesterday with some students, and I gave her some of my modern instruments just to muck around with while they were trying, and she said lots of colours, so I think she was impressed. But it sounds really good, very impressive, very open, very silky. Anyway, there we go. Two instruments by Parmeggiani, new instrument by Luiz Amorim from Cremona, and some bows, Bazan, Hill Gold and Tortoiseshell. What is this viola bow? A violin bow by Bazin, who is one of the world's leading living makers also. So I've got quite a number of his bows. Okay, all the best. See you next time. Bye-bye.